Hi everybody, welcome back. Today we're going to talk about which loop you should use and when. Um, so we're just going to code out a few simple loops and we're going to go over a while, a do while, and a for loop. So I have Eclipse open and I'm going to start a new Java project, and I'm going to call this loops. Because we've been working in our previous project, we'll just start a new one. And I'm just going to check everything. Okay. Oh, we're going to put this. Okay. Now we're going to hit finish. So then I'm going to expand this, and here's our loops, and I'm going to click on our source, and I'm going to go to File, New, and I'm going to create a new class, and we're just going to call this loop test. And I got a warning if you saw that classes usually start with an uppercase, so we'll just fix that. And I do want a main, and we'll just have it generate some comments for us. So Eclipse is going to create the new loop class, and here we go. So let's talk for a minute. And we have three main types of loops that you're going to use. So we talk about while loops, do while loops, and for loops. So let's talk about the while loop first. And let's just make some comments. So in a while loop, the loop must repeat until a certain condition is met. So must repeat until certain condition is met. If the condition is false at the beginning of the loop is never executed. So the loop is checked first, and there's a chance that it may never run. The condition may be determined by the user at the keyboard, or something that you set up in your program, like a Boolean value. The condition may be numeric or alphanumeric. So this is a good, solid looping process with applications to a lot of situations. So let's code out a while loop. So we're just going to say we have an int control. I'm just going to do CTR for short. And we're going to say while control is less than or equal to 20. We are going to print. Oh, sorry guys, I just did some C++ code. We're going to print what should we print? Let's just print out the value of control. Okay, oops, I forgot to capitalize that. Okay, I forgot to initialize that variable, so we're just going to make this 1. And then somewhere we need to increment that value. So we're going to say CTR++, which means add 1 to control. This can also look like CTR plus equals 1, if you prefer to do it that way. So let's go ahead and run this. And that was our simple loop. So we started at 1 and went all the way up to 20. So this was a pre-check loop. So let's see what happens if we were to say that control is equal to 21. The loop doesn't run. Why? Because 21 at the start is not less than or equal to 20, so the loop is never going to execute. So that's a while loop. Let's keep control equal to 20, and we're just going to do a comment to comment the whole loop out. Okay. And we're going to talk about a do while loop next. So do while operates under the same concept as the while loop, except that the do while loop will always execute the body of the loop at least one time. Do while is what we call an exit condition loop, so the condition is checked at the end of the loop. This looping process is a good choice when you're asking a question whose answer will determine if the loop is repeated. So say you're asking, do you want to continue? And the user says yes, and that would be the trigger to go through the loop one more time. You want to ask that, or you want to check that at the end. So let's just go over a quick example of a do while loop. So we already have our integer control, and let's just start with do, and we're going to use a curly bracket for that, and then we're just going to say system out dot print line. Again, control equals and plus the value of control. Okay, and we want to increment it, and we want to do this while, now we need a parenthesis, control is less than or equal to 20. Okay. So this is our do while loop. We're doing this while this condition is true. So if we run this, there's our loop. It executed 20 times. Now let's go ahead and change this again. I'm going to make that 21. So here we can clearly see that the do, there was no check in the beginning. So the loop, the do part of the loop went on, even though control was not less than 20. So that's why we call this an exit condition loop. So I'm just going to move this comment down, and that's a do while loop. And we're going to talk about our last kind of loop. The for loop is repeated a specific number of times. So it's determined by the program or the user. The for loop counts the number of times the body will be executed, and this loop is a good choice when the number of repetitions is known or can be supplied by the user. So we're just going to run through a for loop, and the for loop checks in the beginning. So we're going to keep that integer control. I'm going to say for CTR control equals 1. So we're going to start control at 1. So we actually want to remove this because we're declaring that control variable here. And I actually need an int. So int control equals 1. And then we're going to say while control is less than or equal to 20, we're going to only do this while, or print while the control variable is less than or equal to 20. And in this last spot for a for loop, we're actually going to increment. So we're going to say control plus plus. We need a curly brace. And then we're going to say system.out.println. We're just going to print out the value of control. Okay. So here we're saying that for, our int control variable is going to start at 1, while control is less than or equal to 20. And then at the end of the loop, after we print this, add 1. Let's see what happens. And that is our loop. So again, let's just try to change this to 21. And let's see what happens. The loop does not execute because it was checked first, and 21 is greater than 20, so this loop is not going to print. So I hope that kind of clears up when to use what kind of loop. You can really use them interchangeably. There's no right or wrong time to use any of these loops. They can each do the same thing. It's just what is going to be easiest for your user or what may be easier for you to program. So as long as you get your final outcome, how you want it or what you need it to be, whatever loop you decide to choose is fine. For stuff you're going to do on 175, for loops are kind of going to dominate what you may be doing in terms of using arrays. So an array is something that we'll talk about in a later video, but just keep this in mind, and I hope you guys are enjoying the video series, and I hope they're enjoying a little bit, helping you a little bit. If you have any questions, please leave comments below, and we'll try to get back to you guys or create a follow-up video. Thanks, everyone.